Magical run propels Eala to stardom. The door did not creak open for Eala in 2025. It swung wide, loudly, and in full view of the tennis world. It only took a magical run in the Miami Open last March for the 20-year-old ace to finally put herself inside the top 100 of the Women's Tennis Association (WTA) rankings. From beating Grand Slam champions like Madison Keys of the United States, Jelena Ostapenko of Latvia to world number 2 Iga Swiatek, the Rafael Nadal Academy graduate made sure to announce herself to tennis fans around the world, including the casual Filipino spectators. While she didn't end up with a trophy in the scorching courts of Miami, Eala was able to catapult from number 140 to number 75 and gave herself a direct slot in the 3 Grand Slam tournaments of the year: the French Open, Wimbledon Championships, and the US Open. Eala made history once again in the US Open last August as her 6-3, 2-6, 7-6 over Clara Tauson of Denmark in the first round made her the first Filipino to win a main draw match in the Open era. I would say that anything is possible and to dream big. I'm very ambitious, and although there was no one from my country who did this before or was successful in tennis, said Eala, who drew strength from the Filipino fans watching live at Flushing Meadows in New York City. I took inspiration from anyone I could, from my family, from my brother. So just be ambitious, dream big, and know that you can do it. After her US Open campaign, Eala won her first WTA title at the Guadalajara 125 Open in Mexico after beating Punna Udvardy of Hungary 1-6, 7, 5-6-3 last September and even rose to as high as number 50 last October in the WTA rankings. But Eala isn't done just yet, as she has one more title to chase before the year ends: the 33rd Southeast Asian (SEA) Games gold medal in Thailand. Standing proudly as the country's flag bearer alongside volleyball star Brian Bagunas, Eala looked confident as she entered the prestigious biennial meet as the favorite to win the women's singles title. Against home bet Maninkaya Sawanki and some dubious calls, Eala stood tall in the end with a 6-1, 6-2 victory and ended the Philippines' 26-year title drought in the women's singles. It was a full-circle moment for Eala as her mother, Riza, won a bronze medal in the 1985 SEA Games in Bangkok in the women's 100-meter backstroke event of the swimming competition. As 2026 comes in, expect the number 53 Eala to continue making noise as she banners the Philippines once again. In fact, she will make history in the Australian Open in January, where she will make her debut in the main draw. Whatever happens is no longer important. At this point, only one thing is certain: Eala has arrived and she's just getting started. The stadium lights felt brighter than usual, as if they knew something special was about to happen. When Eala stepped onto the court that evening, there was no thunderous applause, no roar that announced a superstar's arrival. There was only a polite murmur, the kind reserved for promising names still finding their place in the world. By the end of the night, that murmur would become a memory, replaced by chants that echoed her name like a spell. Eala's journey to stardom did not begin with magic. It began with mornings that arrived too early, with shoes worn thin at the soles, and with a quiet determination that refused to leave her alone. She trained when courts were empty, when the air still held the cool of dawn. Every swing of the racket carried a dream larger than the moment, one that imagined her name printed in headlines, spoken with pride by people who had never met her. The tournament that changed everything was supposed to be just another stop. Analysts saw it as experience building, a chance for Eala to test herself against higher-ranked opponents. She saw it differently. To her, it was an open door. Her first match was tight, the kind that tightens the chest and tests the nerves. The opponent was seasoned, confident, and expected to win. Eala lost the first set quickly, her shots landing just inches too long, her timing half a second off. But somewhere between sets, she found stillness. She stopped chasing perfection and trusted the rhythm she had built over years of quiet work. The comeback was not loud, but it was relentless. Point by point, she pulled the match back into her hands, finishing with a calm smile that hinted at more to come. Word spread fast. Commentators began to talk about her footwork: light, precise, almost effortless. Fans noticed her composure, how she never argued with herself after a mistake. By the third round, The stands filled earlier than usual. People wanted to see if the story would continue. It did, and then some. Each match felt like a chapter in a book no one wanted to put down. Against power hitters, Eala countered with patience and angles. Against defensive players, she pressed forward with courage. What made her run magical was not just the wins, but the way she earned them. She played with joy, as if the court were a place of freedom rather than pressure. Even when matches stretched long and fatigue set in, her eyes stayed bright, focused on possibility rather than fear. The quarterfinal was the turning point. Down match point, Eala stood at the baseline, breathing slowly while the crowd held its breath with her. The serve came fast. She returned it deep, stepped into the rally, and refused to give ground. 3 shots later, she forced an error. The crowd erupted. 2 points later, she won the match. In that instant, belief became contagious. The fans believed. The commentators believed. Most importantly, Eala believed. By the time she reached the final, the tournament no longer belonged to expectations. It belonged to her story. The final match was intense, filled with long rallies and shifting momentum. When Eala lifted the trophy, it felt less like a surprise and more like a revelation. Stardom had not arrived overnight. It had been running toward her all along, finally catching up. In the days that followed, her name appeared everywhere. Interviews, features, and highlight reels tried to explain what had happened. They spoke of talent, discipline, and mental strength. All were true. But those who watched closely knew there was something else. A spark that cannot be trained, only protected. A love for the game that turned pressure into play and doubt into drive. Eala returned to the court soon after, now greeted by applause that rose before she even swung her racket. Yet she walked the same way with the same quiet confidence. Stardom had found her, but it had not changed her. The magic of her run was never about a single tournament. It was about a young athlete stepping fully into her potential and inviting the world to watch.